Project Open Hand is a meal service for people with AIDS and ARC. If people haven't ever volunteered in their lives, they have no idea of how rewarding it is to bring meals to someone who desperately needs something. That it was very difficult for these people to get food. People would say, oh, everyone has friends or relatives, and it simply was not true. The only way a program like this can be successful is if you have compassion.
AIDS is now spreading in epidemic proportions to other segments of the population.
The church will be teaching that homosexual activity is sinful.
And in the nation's capital, more gay rights groups are speaking out.
In 1985, Ronald Reagan mentioned the word AIDS for the first time.
That we have provided for research on AIDS.
It has taken the president 5 years to begin to even address this problem publicly.
We are angry, we want action.
More than 20,000 people have already died of AIDS.
People thought that even going to the house of somebody who had AIDS could be dangerous, and you really didn't know how it was transmitted.
It's mysterious, it's deadly, and it's baffling medical science.
It was really hard because you will go to General Hospital. You will see this person next day will not be there no more.
These people were not getting food at all if I didn't bring meals to them.
Ruth Brinker is the founder of ProjectOpenHand, a group that delivers hot meals to AIDS patients too ill to cook or shop for themselves.
When she first started serving people with HIV, no one was visiting some of those young men. It was her and her compadres.
She loved people, whoever you were, and she just dove right in.
If you're meant to do something, you just do it.
Ruth Brinker.
Ruth Brinker.
Ruth Brinker.
Ruth Brinker.
Do I look at the red light?
No, you look at Bob.
I look at Bob. See? I was born on a wheat farm in South Dakota, but I certainly didn't grow up there, thank goodness. My father took us to Chicago because I think he felt, too, that his daughter and his son should not be growing up in a wheat field. And so I really grew up in Chicago. I was looking for adventure, and I wasn't finding it in Chicago. And also, I needed to get away from my mother. Too difficult to deal with, you know. So that I came out to San Francisco. This is my kind of town. And I've been here ever since. I started Project Open Hand in the fall of 1985. It was my very first experience with AIDS. I had just watched a friend die. And I was absolutely shattered to see how quickly he became unable to care for himself. And I began worrying about all of the other people in the city that I knew had AIDS and wondering how they were fending. And I just felt compelled to start a meal service for them. Social workers found out what I was trying to do, and they gave me a list of people that needed food. And I said, I'm doing this all alone. I can't get anyone to help me. So let's start with 10. And I'll be able to deliver meals to them, and it's not going to be too much of a strain for me. first delivery, I would ring the doorbell and no one answered. And so I waited a few minutes and then I rang the bell again and there was still no answer. And so finally, after about 10 or 15 minutes or so, someone pressed the buzzer and I got in. And when I got upstairs to the room, the door was just slightly ajar. I pushed it open, and there was my client on the floor. He'd been able to get up enough energy to press the buzzer to let me in, but then he didn't have the strength to get back into bed. So I helped him into bed, and I opened up the meal package for him, and I helped him eat the meal. And he kept saying that I was saving his life, and I thought, I'm not really saving it, I'm just prolonging it. Then I had all these other people to deliver to also. It was really, really difficult.
And every day, 3 more cases are identified, and yet still, surprisingly few people are familiar with the acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or the acronym by which it's
The newspapers would be full of people that were dying of AIDS, but most of them weren't dying of AIDS, they were dying of malnutrition. All of my friends seemed to feel that everybody had relatives that would help them, and what was I doing that for, you know? They didn't seem to realize that the people I was serving primarily were pretty much alone. They had fled their families to come to San Francisco. It was really quite a while before anyone decided that they wanted to help. I would be interviewed.
I was scared. I thought, supposing all 1,000 want our meals, you know, that was a little overwhelming.
So that brought a lot of people to the surface.
My best friends, they were dying of AIDS. And I took care of them until the last one died. And I was emptying this big apartment in the Mission. I didn't want to live no more. And then I found Ruth. And it lifts me from that pain. And she offered me food from Trinity Church, which she was cooking in the basement.
I was really there for quite a while, and there was a dining room, and I was able to serve to people that had the strength to walk up the building. And I remember being across the street from the church one day, and I would watch all of these people walking up the hill from Market Street, all the way up to the church kitchen to get a meal. Apparently they thought the meals were pretty good. And then in the evening, I would start serving people in their homes. The rector liked the idea that I was doing it, but his parishioners did not. His parishioners were just furious that all of these gay people were walking up the hill. And so finally, he put an end to it. I had had enough publicity in those days. As soon as I began having this trouble at Trinity Church, Jim Hormel, he found a building for me on Market Street. For benefactors to kind of surface. And I would get really wonderful letters from people, and most of them didn't want their names used. And all of the volunteers were very eager to help.
Volunteers in OpenHand, they really part of that beautiful heart that is the kitchen of OpenHand. Without them, it would not happen. Ruth Brinker focused so much in the volunteers.
They really enjoyed taking the meals to people because they wanted to express love for the people that we were serving.
It's really nice. You'll take the time to deliver the meals for us.
It takes us 100 volunteers every single day to prepare the meals, to deliver the meals, to work in the food bank, and to do other services to make all of this happen.
Enormously simple, just making food for sick people, except she was doing it for eventually 2,200 a day. Amazing operation, it all came from her. And that really was important, how they're prepared, the ingredients, how they're delivered. So I threw myself into the work and delivered meals many, many times. It kind of proved to be my salvation in a lot of ways because I was so, like most gay men at that time, so devastated by all the death and dying. It was an extremely important part of my healing, really.
And that really was the whole thing. We were supplying meals with love.
The food equals love, and that's what it is today, and I love it. Food is hope. Food is everything, and she offered it to the needy.
Fernando and I, achieved a special bond. We became friends very quickly.
So my thing was develop the recipes for the main meal. And she supervised, she will go to the kitchen. And she will say, oh, what are you cooking, honey, about this? And she would taste it. For her, always the kitchen was the heart of the entire organization. And Ruth was on top of that. And sometimes it was not enough volunteers to deliver the food.
I would ask Fernando to come and help me. And that's what I did.
And she would say, honey, do you do a route with me? I said, sure. So she liked the little old car. And we went to maybe 30 places, wherever it was in the route. And she would write, I will deliver it.
Thanks.
And we see these people, that they could even barely walk. And the change of their eyes to see and receive food.
I'm finding that I'm making more associations now than I ever did my whole life. And these are nice people. And I hope someday to get better and go down there and pack groceries, really.
In the crisis of AIDS, to me, she was the person who brought to San Francisco the hope.
I had made friends with people in the produce market, and everybody there knew what I was doing. So they sometimes would have all kinds of food ready for me.
Sometimes it was not enough money to buy vegetables, let's say. And she would say, well, we just have this little money. We have, $400. And we will come up way more than the $400. And that would feed us a lot of people, a lot of people.
It was a very scary time, but there are always these, I should say the heroes and saints of our time really came out of the epidemic. People were really willing to take chances and risk it all to helping others. The gay community in those days really worshipped her, and rightly so. She really was a hero in many, many ways.
There were gay bars, and they were just very generous, very generous. And that was how I was able to survive, you know.
The fondest memory of her actually was walking down Market Street, a rainbow-colored parasol. The crowds were going crazy for Ruth Brinker. They said, "Ruth, we love you, Ruth." And they did.
And I used to remind her that, honey, look at that, what you can create. Look how many people we feed. Look the letters the clients bring to you. With kindness, with love, with respect to you, for what you have done for them.
She shows one person can make a big difference, you know? I mean, this is the woman that founded the company that I've spent a lot of years, at that point. And I wanted to meet the woman that made a difference in my life. She was easy to get to know. I just cut her hair and I said, "What do you think?" "Oh, it looks lovely," she would say. She didn't seem to have a mean bone in her body, let's put it that way,
She was a real mentor to me and to many others as well. She had a twinkle in her eye. It kind of reflected her soul. This woman was a very compassionate, very caring woman, and very, very creative, in so many ways. The day she died was very powerful for us. We held her hands and squeezed her hands, and we just stood by her bed and we knew we were in the presence of somebody. So it touched so many lives.
Ruth gave me, personally, the opportunity to heal the pain of losing all my friends.
Easy for Ruth to have given of herself because she was just so gentle. But she was strong.
Wow. Gets a little emotional talking about that. The more I heard, the more I would ask people that were around them, like, is this true? Like, is this for real? Did this woman really do this work and do it in this way? And is this how it started? And people are like, well, yeah, of course, that's who she was. I would hope that she's proud of the work we did during COVID and beyond and before, and that we've done since she left the organization. And I would hope that she would feel like she's still a part of our team.
What this pandemic did to me, it reminds me of all that pain from the AIDS crisis. It's like exploded in me. Ruth gives me the peace of mind in my heart for what she creates.
I'm glad that people appreciate what I've done, but it's not important to me. It was something that really needed to be done. And so there I was. So now there's probably an open hand in every major city in the country.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That one should teach without speaking. I think that that is the most profound and the most effective way of teaching.